Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Cookiecast. Today on Cookiecast, it's the start of the NFL season, so it's the start of the NFL podcast. We've decided to go with a new name for a new season, so check out the new name in the description and check out the naming ceremony of the new NFL podcast. I sit down with co-host Paul Williams and special guest Stuart Woodmansey, and we get into the NFL at last. So here we go. This is Cookiecast NFL podcast.
Did we do those at the same time?
They beeped at the same time.
Besties!
It was quite an exciting way for me to start, though. It was quite...
Did you ever win?
No. But it was close.
He should have had a win.
Much closer than I thought.
Unfortunately, he's in that sort of position where, apart from certain people in the league, if he'd have played anyone else, I think he would have won. It was those horrible weeks where you just play someone who's just basically got one player who scores like an extra field goal on top of your kicker, basically.
So, obviously I'm not going to talk about my other league all the way through this, but, you know my Mark Ingram thing? Obviously in our league.
I know about... That's the bit I do know about, but only because of a certain...
So in the mini league, I did get Mark Ingram. Obviously I left him on the bench. Rule
For who?
number 1. Take Mark Ingram, put him in your flex position, leave him there for every single week, apart from his bye week, and you'll do fine. Honestly, just remembered who one of my other players in that league is. Just remind me which player it was that went off injured after the first quarter.
In which game?
Oh, fuck you. The app started doing that thing. Oh, there's an update.
No,
there's
I've noticed that.
Just gonna go here.
Was it Joe Mixon?
Just have a little look.
Wasn't Hilton, was it?
No, I've got Hilton.
I was in the wrong league, sorry. Oh yeah, that's right. I had Tyreek Hill in, didn't I?
Oh, yeah. 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, see, this is the bit I'm not going to enjoy, having to keep track of.
Gentlemen, we have been conversing for almost 2.5 minutes.
It's almost like we
now,
forgot there was a podcast going on.
and we haven't done an introduction to what is officially season 2 of the NFL podcast, which doesn't really have a tagline, does it? It's just the NFL podcast.
I thought it was Yorkshire's number 1.
Well, yeah, but that's like that is the tagline.
So it doesn't have a tagline, but that's the tagline.
I think it doesn't have not a tagline. It doesn't have a name,
Okay.
as in like you can't see the forest for the T's.
Mm-hmm.
Getting over
The
darkest timeline.
So what would this be then? Oh, it could be Laces Out.
It could be because my team name in the mini league is Football Shaped Cookie.
That is good. That is good. So when James first joined my other league, his team name for the first couple of seasons was Ray Finkel's Playbook. So that was always quite funny.
We went past when we were going somewhere. We drove past a road going somewhere, so obviously we had to pass it all the way back.
So it's either going to be. I was going to say it's
That,
either
my
going to be Finkel
friend,
Street.
was on your journey to Hull.
Yes,
Finkel
So drive along Finkel Street, and I went Finkel and Einhorn, Finkel and Einhorn, Einhorn and Finkel.
Finkel and Einhorn, Finkel and Einhorn.
And then all the way back.
Didn't see an Einhorn Street then.
Oh.
No. Because I knew exactly where that was, for the fact that every time I drive past that, I have to drive past that to come here, and every time I see it I'm like, it's not spelt the same as Howard Finkel. So that's why
He's not dead yet, but he is in poor health. So
few people like that at the moment.
Yeah,
Can't
Sam.
imagine you, maybe you, definitely not. And Sid Haig?
No.
He would be of, he's not even in that picture, but he would be of this.
Soil?
No.
I'm
He's
pretty
in,
sure that's not
he's in
a
House of a
restaurant.
Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, and the new 3.
Rob Zombie.
So that's Devil's Rejects poster.
And that's a Rob Zombie?
Rob Zombie movie. That's Rob Zombie.
On the left.
On the left. That's Rob Zombie's wife.
Which is...
Sherry Moon Zombie.
What?
Sherry Moon Zombie.
His last name's not Zombie.
His last name isn't Zombie, but for the purpose of, being Rob Zombie, it is.
It's just like Linda Hogan.
I imagine so.
Right, okay. Again, real name. I'm sure Brooke Hogan's not a real name.
Well, no, but like
Brooke Belair doesn't sound as good, does it?
no, it's like the American version of like RADA or whatever it is. Let's have like a registered.
Isn't RADA Equity?
That's it.
That's
RADA
the one.
maybe is the American version. Dope. Oh well.
Man, I'll tell you something. I know in the previous podcast we used to get off on a tangent, but this could be the best ever. We've been out at 6 minutes.
Best
Just about.
tangent ever. So, we'll go with Laces Out.
Yeah? Do you reckon?
I'm happy, and unless somebody else wants to come up with something, send your ideas, comment below. But for now, welcome. Cookiecast presents Laces Out, Season 2, Episode 1.
And technically, a new participant.
Hi everyone, it's me. If you've listened
So-
to others, you might know me.
If you didn't read the description before switching this on, you might have thought, fucking hell, it's a wrestling podcast already. No. So, Stu, it's that age-old question of life, isn't it? Why are you here?
Why am
Wow.
I here? Well, a long
Shots fired!
approximately 35 years ago now.
When a mummy and a dad love each other very much.
Well, actually, it's kind
Sorry,
of.
no. When a mummy decides she doesn't want to go to work anymore.
I've more shots fired. It's a bit of a strange one, this, obviously, because one, like you say, it's not wrestling, and secondly, I kind of
It's not football.
didn't. Well, it's not football, but it kind of is football.
It's not soccer.
Didn't really have. Obviously, I had an awareness of NFL. Didn't really watch it, but the main being was because I didn't really understand much of it. Now, that changed for me over the last couple of years, but more so a year ago, on the basis that we were in Newcastle with Mr. Moore, who obviously you weren't in Newcastle. It was me and Matt. I think. Or was you there?
Are you sure? What? No, we were in York. We were doing one of our Christmas beer meetups.
No, that's been in between. It was before
okay,
this.
fair enough.
So I was in Newcastle with Matt, and it was the weekend of the NFL London games last year.
Okay.
So kind of watched it. At the end of the day, it's sport. What?
Seahawks Raiders?
It's sport. So if it's on TV, I'm going to give it a bit of a watch. But I didn't massively understand a lot of the rules.
At this point in time, Stu, I can tell you this. I started watching the NFL in the 80s. And at this point in time, as you can see from this week's fancy lineup, I still don't understand the rules.
Well, Matt took a bit of time in the afternoon, and we watched one of the games that was on, and I was like, so what's happening here then? And Matt explained it.
He was like, I have no idea.
And then it was like, so what about this then? Okay, and he actually took a bit of time out. And then all of a sudden it clicked, and I was like, actually, yeah, this is pretty good. So it stuck, and listening to the podcast last season helped a lot with kind of, and basically the main reason for then getting into NFL is you lot giving Paul shit last season. So, you know, Matt's explanations and Paul getting stick is kind of like what happens when we
A
all meet up.
recipe for real life.
So yeah, here I am.
You're not the first person to be sold on those small number of
As I've said before,
stipulations.
everyone knows that in a friendship group, there's that one
There's
guy
that guy.
who just basically gets the shit.
That's an absolute butt
Unfortunately for me,
of all jokes.
I seem to be that guy in all of my friendship groups.
And
Consistency is king, my friend.
what we worked out is that you absolutely love it. It's the attention, isn't it? All eyes on Paul.
I wouldn't know what to do if people were actually nice to me. It'd be weird. It'd be very, very strange.
I'm hurt by that.
No, you're not. You lying
Nice all the
hound.
time.
Well, I don't know about that.
Where's that jersey I bought you? No, it's not wearing his jersey.
Do you know what? Don't think I've put it on once. But it is in the house, I can guarantee you that.
If I was better at editing and coding podcasts, I'd have my face zoomed in with the Incredible Hulk music playing.
Oh, no, it's not that, is it?
Is
Is that when he's walking away?
Yeah.
He's walking away.
Oh my God.
So, it's an NFL podcast. Week 1 is in the books. This is the Week 1 review, Week 2 preview.
Correct.
Oh God, I have to get back into that system. Shit, bed.
Just before we go on to that, obviously Stu's here in his capacity as a fan, but also as a new participant
New participant.
of the league. Sadly, RIP to Tom Quinn's participation in the Fantasy League. Oh, Andy is not happy about that.
Wow, has he decided he actually wanted in now, or?
No, it was just like, well, I'm not bothered about doing it. It's
Okay.
I can't be. I think it was basically a case of I can't be bothered to set a lineup every week.
Okay.
Okay.
So
It's all right,
rips to TQ, but
yes, let's rip him. So the podcast is going to be slightly different to last season. There was it was a lot more fancy and a lot less league last season. We're going to flip it on its head.
switcheroo.
We're going to do a lot more league and a little bit less fantasy. There will be fantasy. There will be. It's one of those things like when you watch Red Zone, they talk the game, the plays, the players, and then every now and then they'll talk fantasy. Oh, that's good for fantasy owners. That's good for fantasy. That's bad for fantasy. So we're going to go a little bit like that. Stats Mistress has stepped away from the camera, but I believe the intention is that she will still be laying them stats down.
Just dropping a few knowledge bombs. here and there.
I did a small amount of homework, and by that I googled some stuff and
Can I mention just at this point?
mention whatever you like.
Seeing as you mentioned Red Zone, thanks very much Sky Sports, because you've already heard about this week, but as a kind of new fan to it all, I was thinking, right, okay, week 1, got the fantasy thing set up now, want to make sure I'm watching it. Got everything set up on Sunday. I was like, where's Red Zone? I can find the full game, and like last season they did the thing where you press the red button, didn't you, and that was away you go. I was like, oh, maybe they're not doing it this year, to only find out 2 days later or whenever it was on a completely different channel that's hidden away from the rest of the Sky Sports channels. Sky Sports, sort your stuff out. It really annoyed me.
I mean, I imagine you've got nothing to say about that.
No, because he probably watched it, because he found it, whereas I had no idea where it was.
So, I've got a few bits and bobs written down. Definitely haven't stolen them from anywhere on the internet. Big thumbs up, big shout out to the New York Times.
Little known publication.
A small
Mom and pop deli type operation.
So, Lamar Jackson, go.
Well, smart people would have picked him up in their fantasy league.
Smart people would have done.
Sadly, I did not get the chance to pick up Lamar Jackson in our fantasy league. However, I do have him in my other league.
Obviously, you'll have put you. Which was the other quarterback you picked up in that league? Just remind me again.
Mr. Thomas Brady, I believe, is his name. I think
Disgusts me.
good things are expected from him. Rookie and that.
in his rookie year.
Lamar Jackson. I believe was asked on his performance after the game and came out with the phrase, "Not bad for a running back."
So this was the
funny for him to just do that to the entire NFL population or the entire
reason that I was going to ask
media.
Because he has been asked about his performance because at some point he was reviewed as a running back who can throw a little. That was the review, especially before the end of last season. Before the back end of last season, it was, well, he's a running back. And he can throw the ball a little bit. And then he came on. And he admittedly was hit and miss. He was fresh into that role.
He was still getting to know the offense, really.
He was.
He was thrust into the position when Flacco went in. Now, did Flacco get an injury, which is what put him in the first place? Or did they just drop him? I'm pretty sure he got injured.
I think there was a little bit of a mixture.
Well, I don't know, because if they were, at the time, they were pushing for the playoffs because they were like top of the division, so they were obviously going into the playoffs. So it doesn't make much sense to bench your starting quarterback if you go into the playoffs. So I can't imagine that it was a like a coach's choice. He's obviously come in because Flacco was injured, played well enough to keep the starting position, and then Harbaugh said, "We're going to go with Lamar."
Mm-hmm. And rightly so.
Well, mainly. I mean, they should have done that at the start of the season and just said, "Joe, just fuck off." Because no one wants you.
Do you need to put the ring on?
No one wants you.
Do you want to put the ring on?
You're a terrible, terrible quarterback. Why don't you just go away?
Do you need to put the ring on?
Think about what you've done. Think about that Super Bowl that you stole. That highest paid contract that you stole.
Put the ring.
Big fan.
Just awful. One of the worst players to ever win the Super Bowl MVP. Awful.
The Ravens. Now then, I said this because we were watching. I mean, it's one of those things that if you're into the American football, you might understand. And I said this on a previous podcast. Any sports fan that follows a sport that has a break will know what it's like in the off season or when that sport isn't going, and will know what it's like when that sport returns. So I feel, in a lot of ways, unfortunate to be an American football fan because the off-season is so long.
Yeah.
It's insane. And you're just like, miserable. And then, it comes back and all that sort of stuff.
It is insane to think that the American football season starts after the football season does and finishes before.
Yeah.
But that's just the way it is, I suppose.
Yeah. And we live with it. But I was like, Sunday, Red Zone, let's do this, so happy. And we were watching Red Zone, and obviously the Ravens game was on a lot. I did point out, is it as good a victory
when you consider the opposition?
When it was against the Dolphins.
So, I've mentioned it on this podcast before, but I listened to the Around the NFL podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Very good listen. For months now, they've been using the phrase "the organic fish tank" when describing the Miami Dolphins because they've not got a great team. They've changed the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
They've let Tannehill go, so they're almost starting from scratch again.
Which worked well for them last time.
They've just traded two of their best players away. Yep. So they've traded the best defensive player to the Texans, and they've let one of their better wide receivers go to the Texans as well. Was it the Texans? I think it was the Texans. Kenny Stills, did he go to the Texans? I'll have to check that one. But apparently someone was saying that after the game on Sunday, more than one player on the Dolphins requested a trade.
Oh, dear.
So,
I mean, that team has just been decimated, and that's been going on for a few years now. They're just letting it go into disrepair. They're just dropping anything that's half decent.
The one thing that is going in their favour though is that all these trades that they did with Houston have given them first round picks.
Yeah.
So I think it's something ridiculous like over the next 2 or 3 seasons, they've got something ridiculous like 6 first-round picks. So in theory, you could argue that tank the season, so just go like 3-13, 2-14, whatever. Get a really high draft pick,
Just
probably the first overall
Patriots.
pick. Well, obviously. So get your first overall pick.
Yep.
Then the only problem with that is the fact that obviously you're hoping that Houston don't do too well because they get their draft picks, and obviously the better they do, the further down the draft they're going to be picking.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's still a first round pick, so you're still getting one of the 32 best college players of that particular year. So it's, a 6-1 was it?
Yeah.
So the idea is that, fair enough, they're shit now, but in the same way that Cleveland was shit for so many years, and now they've got all these weapons.
Notice they're not offering free beer this season.
Yeah, but that was because they've won games, so, So, I think it's that short-term pain for long-term gain idea with the Dolphins.
Which makes sense. It's just that pain bit.
Yeah,
because
and having to watch that stuff on Sunday was pretty bad.
Game 1, and it's like... Oof,
did look pretty brutal.
It was carnage.
And even Fitzmagic couldn't save him, so...
But as you've mentioned, the Browns, though, that was the game that was on Sky.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm presuming that Sky probably picked that for coverage because of, whoever was showing it in the States, their partner or whatever, because of all the hype, in the close season about the Browns, about how they were going to be awesome this season.
The off-season for the Browns. It
think
was
there's
like, what the hell is going on?
There's something like 4th or 5th favourite for the Super Bowl this season. That's absolutely ridiculous.
But then they just absolutely fell to pieces.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue...
Week 1. And as a lot of the commentary over Week 1 said, for whatever you want to take Week 1 as, it literally means nothing. It's practically pre-season.
I would have thought, though, been like first game at home. Like, maybe this is just me coming from like a soccer background or whatever, but like I'd have thought first game of the season at home against a team that they were probably expected to beat. I'd have said.
The Titans, yeah.
So you'd have thought you'd have been sort of giving it everything to get the crowd on side, but just everything that they were trying, it was just coming away. Like they didn't.
Yeah, the problem that they did say was that for the entirety of the pre-season, Mayfield wasn't in the games that he played during pre-season, or like the few snaps that he took. He didn't have Beckham, Landry, and Joku on the pitch to throw to, so he hadn't.
Was Beckham quite a late signing?
No, they signed him like quite early on in the pre-season, but it's just a case of they just didn't play the pre-season games.
Best meme I saw today.
So weird that, I don't get that.
Picture of Odell Beckham Jr. doing that. Caption was, might give Antonio a call to see how the hell I get out of here. Just to go through some stats, because I've got a couple of stats here. The Ravens beat the Dolphins 59-10. That's the highest score in franchise history for the Ravens.
I mean, granted, they've only been a franchise since 1995, 1996, but still.
You say that but that's like a long time now.
Yeah, but if you think about it, the Texans are the youngest team in the NFL. They've only been going since 2002.
Right.
Lamar Jackson completed 17 of 20 passes for 324 yards and 5 touchdowns.
He was on a roll.
In only 3 quarters.
He was on a roll at first as well, because I'm pretty sure his first... I might have this wrong, but at least his first 8 passing attempts were all caught. It might have been as many as 10. And I think it was his 11th pass was dropped. Because they even brought that up on Red Zone. Scott Hansen mentioned it, and he was like, "We've got to show you this bit from the Miami Baltimore game. It's not a scoring play, but it is something quite significant. It's Lamar Jackson's first incompletion of the day." And I was like, "Fucking hell!"
Yeah. Obviously, there's stuff about the running back stuff. This week they're playing the Cardinals, so obviously they're going to try and. I mean, every week you're trying to do. But they're basically saying that they're going to look at doing the same sort of thing. Cardinals haven't been good for a while. However, week 3 they are going up against the Chiefs, so I'll be amazed.
I'll be amazed if that's not one of the games that's picked for TV. I mean, they're all on TV in America, but you'd be surprised if it's not one of the choices for Sky here, because that's a big game.
Maybe depends how the next game goes, though. Because if
Yeah.
they absolutely, brick it, then maybe not.
Yeah, maybe. You never know.
So, this is the next great thing to talk about that everybody's going to be really happy about.
Antonio Brown, by any chance?
Patrick Mahomes
Oh, no, okay.
didn't have Tyreek Hill. But he didn't need him to thrive. I mean, my fantasy team might have needed him. But Patrick Mahomes didn't. Aren't we happy for Patrick? Mahomes and the Chiefs lost Hill to a shoulder injury in the first half. Hill had just 2 catches for 16 yards at the time of the injury. I saw this morning or last night that they're saying he's going to be out for several games.
4 to 6 weeks is the time scale.
He still managed 40 points against the Jacksonville defence. Mahomes, on the other hand, finished with 378 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, working his way through a sore ankle.
Which is ridiculous when you consider that he had 300 of those yards in the first half.
How many times do you think we're going to hear Mahomes, Watkins? Sammy Watkins had a worldy game. I'm like, where's that fucking jersey?
Fortunately for me, the team I was playing this week in the fantasy was against. They had Mahomes. So yeah.
Was it Cole? Cole loves to get a bit of Mahomes. Sammy Watkins. Wish I'd have picked him up. So, when we were watching Red Zone, you know how Red Zone does this is the play that's happening, this is the play, double box, triple box, all that. And then it goes, here's the scoreboard. And me and Lamb were just like, look at the Ravens game. Look at the Chiefs game. Like the whole time, it was just like, look, let's go. We, obviously, with your big scoring plays and, you're trying to get all the way around the games that are going on, Red Zone was like, it was just Ravens, Chiefs, Ravens, Chiefs. Oh, here's another game that's happening at the moment, Ravens.
There was I'm pretty sure there was a point during the 6 PM games on Sunday when I don't think any of the games was less than a 2 possession difference.
Yeah, there was.
So it was
there
like
was 2 games.
So there was no game that was like close.
Yeah,
really.
there was 2 games, and they showed one at one point. Like this is one of the only 2 games. I mean, as a week 1, as a starting, first week of the season, everybody's had all that time off, and you've got the whole knocking the rust off, excited to be back, playing the game, all that sort of stuff. For a week 1, it was top notch.
It was good.
Those games.
To be honest, it was just nice to have some NFL back to watch. To be fair,
it's like a security blanket. Right then. Obviously, we have to talk about everybody's favourite team at some point in time. What the fuck was that Steelers play?
didn't see it. Went to bed, but I know they only scored 1 field goal.
Leanne refused to watch the game. She was like, I know what the score is, and I'm not watching that. The New England Patriots beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 33-3.
It's a bit of a spanking.
I mean, obviously, everybody, no surprise that everybody's like, Brady hasn't lost a step in the off-season. It's like, shut the fuck up. I believe that they're going to play the Dolphins next week.
Mm-hmm.
Did someone smell a 50 burger?
I mean,
especially if Brown's playing.
I honestly,
although early indication was that he's probably not going to start.
No,
week 2.
Which
Which is annoying for anyone who's got him in their fantasy team.
So, I honestly think that they should do something about moving the Patriots out of that division, but that's I've said that for years. Let's talk Antonio Brown, seeing as he's been brought up.
Where do you want to start?
So you raised a point, and you were ahead of the curve on this, So you sent a message. Was it to the Fantasy League or was it
Must
to,
have been. I imagine it probably would have been.
about Antonio Brown going to the Patriots? At that point in time, I didn't know that. I was like, what? Obviously, straight on whatever app or whatever. Oh, right. And you said straight away, oh, that's definitely not been orchestrated. That's definitely not been pre-arranged or by any means, that has been carefully thought out. I was like, all right, okay. And then everybody jumps on the bandwagon. Like, so they're saying basically he never had any intention of taking a single game for the Raiders. So it's been a very well thought out move because he's gone to the Raiders, kicked up a fuss there, and they're like, oh, we'll just so happen to drop you, and then the Patriots turn up. Bearing in mind that the people that are employed by NFL players, managers, and people like that, it's their job to orchestrate these deals. So it's no surprise that that's how it's happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's very. I mean, it's not even very coincidental. That is well and truly something that's been orchestrated.
It doesn't smell right to quite a lot of people, I think. There's definitely something that's not quite adding up.
Again, I've seen a lot of memes this week. There was if you think Antonio Brown's going to be an issue in the Patriots locker room, and there was a picture, I can't remember the guy's name. It was like the Patriots literally had players who were committing murder in the off season.
Aaron Hernandez?
Yeah. There's just a picture of him. It was like, okay.
Well, this is the thing, though. This is what the Patriots do in it. They take, troubled stars and put them back on the right path.
Is that why people hate them so much then?
More than
it's like
likely.
a team of rogues.
Just a team full of convicts.
I think
like the Aussies. You fucking...
I think it's one of those things that they're hated because
people hate success, though, don't they? At the end of the day, it's like why a lot of people hate Man United. It's like why a lot of people hate Liverpool. I mean, that's for some different reasons, but
I suppose at this point I should give a shout out to Katie, my next door neighbour, the only person I've known that willingly has worn a Patriots shirt. She has a Patriots jersey.
Oh no, do you?
Yeah, I mean, who would do that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's a Patriots jersey that doesn't say the words BRADY 12 on the back. I'm assuming hers does.
Somebody said to me, they're like, "Is that a Patriots jersey?" Like,
Yeah,
no,
it's not Brady.
It's a Gronkowski jersey.
So the latest, one of the rumours doing the rounds there,
He's coming back.
was that it's a case of now that Brown's there, he might be thinking, one more Super Bowl ring wouldn't hurt.
But
He's going to do a Lynch.
Everyone's saying that they'll wait until they'll get. So obviously the Patriots will get to the off season again,
Guaranteed.
and then it'll get to say December, and it'll be a case of looking a bit thin at the tight end spot. Rob, just come in for a second, would you? Do you want to catch a few passes in the off season? Do you want a Lombardi? Yeah, you go suit up, son. Because obviously they still own his registration.
Yep.
So obviously, like the Lynch thing, when he came back into the league, obviously the Seahawks held his registration, so the Raiders had to agree a trade for him. I think they only, I don't think they ended up giving him much. I think they gave him a couple low round draft picks and stuff like that. But yeah, obviously, the Patriots wouldn't have to worry about trading anything away to get him back, and because they've still got his registration.
that sounds like a win-win all round though for all parties involved, surely.
But apart from the other 31 teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
sadly it is what it is.
At the point he announced his retirement, it was a bit like, because when you go to the tight end position and start looking through, you very quickly drop out of good players.
We've got your sort of your top tier where there's maybe 3, 4, 5 players there. And then you've got the rest are all just mediocre, to be honest with you. The majority of tight ends that are in the lower teams that are there as blockers rather than pass catchers and stuff like that. So, although the new kid that Detroit have got, that Hawkinson kid, he looks pretty handy.
There's a thing here about Deshaun Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Back in Philly after 5 years. He did not appear to have aged. Received a touchdown of 53 and 51 yards in Philadelphia's 32-27 win over the Washington Redskins. However, I wouldn't be talking about that.
Go on.
I'd be raising the very interesting point that the guy that does Red Zone brought up. Darren Sproles. Not only is he still playing American football, still playing for the Eagles, he's still this big, he was destroying it.
He's a good option. He's one of those backs who just sort of like he's a dual threat back because you've got him out of the backfield, but you can also sling passes to him and stuff like that, and he can split out wide. He's a good option to have basically, but he has said this is going to be his last season. So I think he retired unofficially, and then he managed to be coaxed back for one last.
Oh, I'm sure the millions and millions of dollars will have had nothing to do with it. Going back to Jackson, finished the day with 8 catches for 154 yards, and now has 30 career touchdown receptions of 50 or more yards. 6 short of Jerry Rice's NFL record.
There you go.
Stu's point has been raised in this about the Browns. Cleveland has more work to do. Very much what you said. They got absolutely embarrassed at home by the Titans. A 43-13 shellacking. A word that isn't used enough in my opinion.
Really isn't, is it? Shellacking.
Baker Mayfield threw 3 fourth-quarter interceptions.
I mean, a lot of the last one of those will definitely be forcing it in where it doesn't. There's no right for him to throw the ball and stuff like that. Like, it's the equivalent of like you're 1-0 down in like the 85th minute, and you've been 1-0 down all game, and you end up losing the game 4-0 because you're chasing the game, trying to get back into it.
The team committed 18 penalties. Mariota and the Titans were willing to take advantage of it.
Did you see the bit where the defensive lineman just like got like knocked over and then just kicked out at the Titans guy, and he like almost got him in the face and got ejected from the game?
The Chiefs game literally was just fighting on.
Oh yeah, that was amazing. Like
Miles
Jack for the Jags got thrown out of the game for that.
Yeah, and he wasn't going, was he? He was
he was not.
They
had to get like 3 people to escort. 3 people to escort.
And they were pinning his arms. It was like, and even then, he was
still fighting to get back, and then I think Calais Campbell was just like, off you go.
It's like, maybe let's not have a Fournette situation. Kellen Moore will keep calling plays. The Cowboys' 30-year-old offensive coordinator was somewhat shockingly given the reins of the Dallas offense by coach Jason Garrett. In his first game at the helm, Moore engineered a 35-point effort in which Dak Prescott threw for 405 yards and 4 touchdowns, while compiling a perfect 158.3 passer rating. I saw something that said that Dak still hasn't signed a contract.
No, but apparently after the game, Jera came out and said that it's going to be Joe Jones
for tackling
the Dallas Cowboys. He said that the contract offer will be going in very shortly.
It's one of those things, isn't it? Because essentially, it's always money based, and it'll have been out and out for money and terms and stuff like that. But there was also a lot of stuff in the off season about how he's not.
He's not an elite level quarterback.
Right.
He's good. He's a solid quarterback for him, but he's not in the sort of the top 5.
There was a video on like an NFL website of him doing one of those throwing games against a guy who had been out of playing for 10 years, and he missed every single one of them, and the guy who was against hit every single one of the targets. It was like, okay. There's a thing here about the Detroit Lions won. The Detroit Free Press won Twitter.
Okay.
The paper's reaction to the Lions' 27-27 tie in Arizona was perfect. And the tweet was, final, the Lions lioned the Cardinals cardinaled. Everyone's unhappy and it's all okay because we're one day, the earth will get swallowed by the sun and nothing will ever exist ever again.
Oh, they're really happy about it then.
Classic Americans just making so much out of a very, very small situation.
That's gone completely
Honestly.
full circle from the week one means nothing bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they're bothered about. Fair enough, they haven't got a win, but they're still undefeated. Americans just hate draws. They really don't like it when you don't get a definitive result about something. They really don't like it.
This is a country that embraces the participation trophy. Top performers in Sunday's games. I'll just read out. Well, let's face it. I'll read out the ones we care about. The quarterbacks and running back. No surprises. Number one's Lamar Jackson. I already read out his stats. Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, and Andy Dalton are the top five. Dak Prescott. 25-32 in the game, 405 yards, 4 touchdowns, as we said about his passer rating. Matthew Stafford, 27-45, 385 yards and 3 touchdowns. We've already talked about Mahomes. Andy Dalton.
Yeah, that was insane. To say the defence that he was playing against, and he had one of his best games ever.
He played really well.
Andy doesn't have his best weapon at AJ Green.
Yeah.
However, he does have John Ross, who someone in the league might have picked up this week. He's not listening.
What was that, sorry?
You picking up Jim Ross?
Yeah, well, that kind of drew
Really?
the name. Has that gone further? You allowed that?
I don't allow the waiver pickups. It's nothing to do with me. And it's definitely John Ross, not Jim Ross.
I know.
But that'd been even better.
To give him his full title,
John Ross the third.
Don't let Leon know. Andy Dalton threw for 418 yards, 2 touchdowns. Top 5 running backs: Marlon Mack, Christian McCaffrey. Holy shit!
Run CMC. Absolutely brilliant.
Austin Eckler.
Oh, Mr. Eckler.
Saquon Barkley.
So that's ridiculous. So you had 2 of the top 5 running backs this week.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the fact that the rest of your team just shit the bed.
Oh, who's number 5 on this list again? Oh, that's right. It's Mark Ingram.
This could be an interesting point.
Do we dare bring Matt into the fold at this point?
Bitch like that. Receivers, top 5 receivers. Anybody surprised that Sammy Watkins is up at the top?
Yeah.
John Ross, Deshaun Jackson, Marquise Brown,
Hollywood,
Michael Gallup. Top 4 defenders. Don't really care.
Excuse me.
Nick Foles.
Yeah.
Now, I had no idea what had happened there. Because obviously when you're watching Red Zone, they don't care about this guy got injured, that guy got injured. They care about the scoring plays. So it went from Nick Foles to, as I keep winding down up, Guy Gardner. Stu might get that one more than you. Or not. Guy Gardner is one of the Green Lanterns.
Oh, okay.
Gardner
Minshew, I think his name is.
So yeah, 1 minute it's Nick Foles, and the next minute it's Gardner Minshew, and it was like, something happened. Next thing they're showing Foles on the sideline.
I don't know if he's broken his collarbone, but he's done something to it where he's now on injured reserve.
Yeah. So
the Jags have moved to trade for somebody though. They've got the Pittsburgh backup.
He was forced out of the game with a broken clavicle.
Yeah.
And his non-throwing shoulder, whilst throwing his first touchdown pass of the season, he did not return. and the Jaguars fell to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that stood out massively. Yeah, there was this Steelers thing. Oh, and Bert Kreischer tagged the Patriots game on like social media because like if it was Sky or whatever their version is, you get like a little box showing what's going on, and then you get like all the TV channels if you're in like the menu. So the Patriots game is on the little box off to the side, Patriots game, and then underneath the blurb for the movie Patriots game.
That's like something that's brilliant.
So all I saw was a video of Patriots lined up, Steelers lined up, and all the Steelers players stepped back. Apart from the guy holding the ball, who stands up and is like... Then they called it as a foul. They called it as a penalty, saying that it was a false start for the guy holding the ball.
It'll be something to do with the line of scrimmage and stuff like that, and it's like
what?
It'll be an illegal formation. So they'll try to do it as a trick play, but it's obviously not worked.
I'm guessing they didn't tell him.
Probably not.
So he was the guy.
Or he didn't get the hard count from Ben. There'll be something in there.
But it just looked really odd. Obviously, it really helped them out in their absolute spanking by the Patriots.
Shellacking.
They should be all right though. They've got decent players. They've got a good receiver in Smith-Schuster. They've got a very good running back in James Conner, and Roethlisberger knows what he's doing. So
be interesting to see if they try it again though. If they actually tell him what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, maybe you sort of like watch this space for how it sort of like goes next week. I don't know who they've got next week. I think it's a tough game. They're at home to... I want to say like someone like Seattle.
The Steelers?
Yeah.
The Steelers are playing Seattle Seahawks. So, we'll come to that very shortly. Obviously, there is a little bit of fantasy element, as the first week of the season always goes, and what kind of sparked the first season of the podcast. Me, play thee. Barely.
Wasn't much of a contest, was it?
It really wasn't. I'm playing the big Trubisky this week.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting evening in your household.
So that's an in-a-house matchup.
So in-a-house matchup, me versus the Stats Mistress. Mr. Williams, who have you got this week?
James Forrester Gray.
Am I the only one that doesn't get the team name?
Belaginal hubris.
I assume, knowing James a little bit, it's something highbrow that's gone well over my head.
So, vaginal hubris is a line from the league.
Yes, it is.
So I'm assuming it's ball,
Right.
as in or ball.
Yeah, get it.
Vaginal hubris. That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah, it went well over my head.
Obviously,
Immediately and
obviously everyone gets my name, of course.
proper head scratched it.
Is it because you really like the band Travis?
It is. Yeah.
Well, you've got Travis Kelce.
I'm a massive fan.
So, yeah.
I was gonna go anyone Kelsey, but that's shit. So, but yeah, we've got some new team names. Should we just go through those? Just
rattle them off
quickly. So we've got the Travago Heroes. That's my offering.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Lacey sticking with his tried and trusted Squirrel Killers.
Does he even have...
Julian Edelman. I don't think he's ever had him.
Does.
Oh, he does have
Julian
him.
Edelman.
Colin sticking with his Obi-Wan Mahomes.
He is.
Matt Moore going with the... I'm pretty sure he's just poking the bear here.
I'm going to bitch slap him.
In Graham we trust.
I am going to bitch slap him.
Leanne Davis rocking the big Trubisky. I do like Phil's name this year. It's a good one. Whence two tribes go to war.
Honestly, I saw that and I was like, Mwah!
It is a good one.
Exceptional.
Obviously,
We don't talk about that name.
Truth Hurts.
No.
Oh,
No.
you should be loving the position he's in the moment.
The dead bottom. Is that what he was meaning about the upside down
Yeah.
league? Honestly,
So he did not to put too fine upon it. He did even worse than you did this week.
I'm second admin on that group.
Right?
Oh, I'm definitely booting him out.
What?
Definitely going to boot him out of that group. I'm tired of listening to him.
How rude! I thought you were talking about the entire league. You're talking about the WhatsApp league. Yeah, Truth Hurts.
That's me.
I love it.
It's a good
Good
one.
boy.
I did once hear that a good team name was My Ball Zach Ertz.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not that well versed to have gone that
Yeah,
far.
Benji Keep, even though he didn't draft a team, ended up with a better team than he drafted himself last year. Sticking with the Oxford Browns name. I don't know if he's done anything to change his team. I don't know if he was actually
Well, it was
administrating the team
interesting
or not.
that he was like, "Oh, pull the plug, guys! I can't do it. I can't do it." Then the next morning,
He's like, my team looks awesome.
Little message going, "Oh, that team's absolutely fantastic." It's like,
I get the feeling he might potentially be tempted to stay in the league indefinitely and just never draft.
You see, this was my thing, is like never taking part in a draft before. I was like, oh, right, so he's not going to do it. Right, how's this going to work out then? And then seeing the messages coming through going, oh man, he's got this guy. Oh, he's got this guy. It's like, oh yeah, I'm ticking them off my list as well.
I think he ended up...
Leanne sat there and we were like, because she'd worked out, by the back end of the draft, she worked out which players he was going to get next.
So I think
by their order. And
think-
she's like, he's going to get some of the best players.
Well, by auto-drafting, he ended up inadvertently getting Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Granted, might not play again this week, but when he does eventually start playing, he's the best wide receiver in the game, basically.
Well, after the whole Le'Veon Bell thing, it was a bit like, I wonder what he's actually going to play like this season. Obviously answered that question on Sunday. Yeah, we've got some good names in the league. I mean, obviously, you know, mine's the best name because I like to stick to form. You know.
Well, you've
Cookie.
stuck with the Cookie. Rob has stuck with the Yorkshire Knights. Obviously, Mr. Forrester Gray's changed to previously discussed Balaginal Hubris, and then Matthew Hurley going in with every Kittle helps. Doesn't have George Kittle. Is it George Kittle or is it Greg Kittle? I think it's George Kittle.
Pretty sure I already said we don't talk about that now.
Why is it?
Like I say, wearing thin. Gentlemen, I invite you to predict this week's games.
Our games or actual games?
The actual games.
Okay.
So, I've got a book. I don't have a pen. Or a pineapple.
Yeah, George Kittle.
You got him.
So we're going to predict all of the games.
I'd love to know where that other pen's gone.
It'll have been eaten by the room.
So...
I have a list of the games in front of me.
So do I.
We start off on Thursday night.
Is this where you get a bit antsy about the weather and the time and
Yep.
stuff?
Who doesn't? Bucks at Panthers.
Paul...
So this is where I
Jew...
So have you already picked your games for next week?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
It's only because, when, like saying to Leanne before, like you get an email from the NFL. It's like, you're going to pick your teams in. It's like, mate, it's like Tuesday morning, chill out. Yeah, but you're going to pick your teams, aren't you? Like 20 minutes later, and then another hour goes, but you've still not picked your teams. Come on, pick your team. It's like they've just taken the kit off from the last game. Calm down a bit.
Literally in
NFL.
an ice bath
Yeah.
right now. Right. Would you like to predict the Bucks versus the Panthers game, gentlemen?
Panthers, please.
Yeah, me too. Straight in.
Paul, Stu, and myself are all going Panthers.
Now, how are we doing this week? This year?
Throw out some suggestions. I'm open to suggestions.
So, are we doing it? I get a score. You get a score. Guest gets a score.
Yes.
So, guest is technically one person.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I'm just going to apologise now to the people who follow
the
this
future
spot after
guests.
me. Yeah.
Tee-hee. Oh dear.
Okay. Patriots versus the Dolphins. Obviously, everybody's going Dolphins. I'll just write that down. Apart from mine, I'm just going to put Patriots down.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I didn't have that as the next game.
Me neither.
I'd love to know where he gets his games, his games list from.
This is the one that's listed as Sunday 6 p.m. Cardinals Ravens.
Ravens.
Yeah, can I also have the Ravens, please,
What,
at home?
What happens if we all pick the same teams?
We don't need to worry about that. Someone will definitely pick a different team at some point.
So Ravens across the board.
Yes. Yes.
49ers Bengals.
It's at Cincinnati.
It is.
Bengals for me, please.
Also, I already picked the Bengals on the pick-ups.
The Bungles? The Cincinnati Bungles?
Can you imagine how of a drastic drop as a mascot that would be if that bungle from just rocks out?
I am also, no surprises, going with the Bengals. Chargers Lions.
Chargers.
Now, you're saying that because you like the
I
Chargers.
do. Chargers are one of the teams that helped me when I was very first getting it. They were one of the game that we mentioned that was the NFL game in London. I think it was the Chargers game that we watched. And then they played some good stuff towards the back end of last season. I thought they did all right. Had a bit of a sniff for getting in the playoffs, didn't they? As well?
They were just lucky in the fact that they were in the same division as the Chiefs. Because they finished with exactly the same record as the Chiefs. But because the Chiefs had...
They beat them in the head.
They had the tiebreaker on them. They got the number 1 seed, and the Chargers had to settle for the number 5 seed. So,
and being completely materialistic, I also like the shirt. So
well, there you go.
he says sat here wearing it.
The baby blue. The baby
No,
blue.
the white.
The powder blue.
I prefer the white one, but it's a well-known fact that having lightning bolts on your arms makes you throw harder and faster. Obviously.
True that. So would you say that was it going to be the P-Riv jersey that you were going to go for as well?
I think over here you can't really buy anybody else's.
You could probably get Melvin Gordon, which is incredibly risky at the moment. You'll be able to get Joey Bosa.
The only one I'd seen was the River shirt.
P-Riv. Yo, P-Riv.
But in the end, when it comes to the jerseys, I end up backing out and going with my tried and trusted one of just getting a jersey from a stadium I've visited. So, hence the Saints shirt. Oh, jersey, sorry.
He's a absolute nailed-on first ballot Hall of Famer as well. So.
You're telling me the shirt will age well then? But
Oh yeah, big time.
Paul Williams.
Tough game for me. I know the Lions aren't very good, but
Every now and then they pull it out their ass.
yeah. Stick me down for the Chargers.
Gives himself all the reasons in the world to pick the opposition.
Stu, this is the point in time where you're going to see things change because I'm going Lions.
I thought he was going to go because I am going for the Chargers.
I'm going for the Lions. Vikings, Packers.
In Green Bay.
Previous seasons, I'd have gone, yeah, that makes a massive difference. But
On Sunday,
another team that has been let just go to ruin.
on Sunday, that Vikings offense looked stacked. So they've got 2 incredibly good receivers in Diggs and Thielen. They've got a running back in Cook that looks superb.
Yep.
His backup looks pretty good. They could be one of the dark horses for a late run in the playoffs for me.
They've been circling the drain of the playoffs the last couple of seasons. I honestly think this is possibly the season that they actually do something about it.
Yeah, stick me down for the Vikings.
Stu?
So with all those good reasons just been given, I have picked the Packers.
They're at home. I mean, the Packers at home are always a different animal. So, and they got a good opening night win against the Bears in Chicago, which not a lot of people would have picked. So.
I am with Paul on this one. I'm going Vikings. Jaguars. Sorry. The Jaguars drives me up the freaking wall versus the Texans.
Texans straight out the back for me.
Texans at home were very unlucky by the sounds of it in their loss to the Saints. Texans for me. Although to be fair, this Gardner Minshew kid looks half decent for the Jags.
Anytime a team switches to a backup quarterback, I'm always like, oh man. But he looked good. If you think about it, in a situation where a backup quarterback is looking at someone like Nick Foles walking out onto the field, it's basically sit back, put your feet up, wait for the time to run down, go home, cash your check, all that sort of stuff.
The only problem is that obviously when he played on Sunday, he didn't have a chance to get nervous because it was a case of Foles is injured, go and play. So it was a case of shit. Now he knows he's pretty much going to be the starter, so he might have the nerves knowing that he's got to start and stuff like that. But he shouldn't, because he's obviously proven that he can play. Tossed a couple of bombs for touchdowns.
For that reason, I'm going to put down the Jaguars.
Really?
I'm just
interesting.
I was liking what I was seeing, and you got to think about it that they've had an entire week to say to him, this is how it's going to be. This is how we're going to play it. This is how you're going to practice, because you are now the guy. Admittedly, that might work against the whole situation, so he might end up in a position where he gets nervous. Possible. But I liked what I was seeing enough to put it down.
This is where they find out what their backups are made of then.
Yep.
They need to step up, otherwise they're never going to get a game. So
yeah,
it's worth a shot.
Bills Giants.
Do you have to pick your namesake in this one? Or? Bill.
I like the Bills. I like the look of them against the Jets on Sunday. Started off a bit shaky, but obviously came through in the end. Giants don't look, other than Barkley, they've got fucking nothing.
And Barkley didn't.
He started off like a train.
Yeah.
He was just running through like
something I said.
like
Something
there.
Even though, because I've got him in both leagues, I got first round on both leagues. Picked him up straight off the bat. The only thing I said was I'd seen a few videos of his training in the off season, and they've completely changed his training regime, and he looked different. Because like last season, he was a beast. His legs were like tree trunks. He was just a monster. And when I saw him in these videos, I was like, oh man, he's really like trimmed down. I don't know how that's going to affect his game. You know, of the list of players in that position, you know, he wasn't number one. So
saying that with a heavy heart as well as you've got him.
Yeah, he'll be fine. You could tell from last season that he's gonna be a stud running back, and he's got the ability to sort of like cut and jink and stuff like that. So he'll be absolutely fine. Plus, the worst defenses obviously that he plays against. The Bills aren't going to be as good on defense as the Cowboys. I mean, there's quite a lot of love for the Bills defense, but I reckon there's chances for him to exploit it. I still do think the Bills will win the game, but I wouldn't be surprised if Barkley gets at least one score, if not a couple.
So I'm putting you down for the Bills.
Please.
I've gone Giants. It was quite a tough decision, that one.
I'm also going Bills for this one. Seahawks versus the Steelers.
In Pittsburgh.
It is in Pittsburgh.
The
Seahawks clinched a win at the weekend. It was close.
Was that the 1 point?
It's weird that the Seahawks will have opened up with the back-to-back games against AFC North teams in Pittsburgh and Cincy.
Who have you got?
After what we talked about earlier and the fact that the Steelers got the shellacking, I think they'll have been absolutely drilled this week and they're at home. So I don't expect it'll be a massive victory, but I'm picking Steelers.
Yeah, I always like to pick. It seems like a sensible pick to pick the Steelers at home.
It does,
but
they didn't look good against the Patriots. Step me down for the Seahawks. These guys. That's it.
I know that I've gone the Williams way for the last few picks, but I'm also going Seahawks. For how much I agree that the Steelers will get an absolute drilling over the next week, I don't think it'll be enough to bring them up to scratch against a team that won week 1. And it wasn't by a lot.
It's a long way for Seattle to travel, but
it is. But we'll see at the weekend. Colts versus the Titans.
I don't like this game.
I don't like this game.
Because the Colts were unlucky against the Chargers, I felt. They looked like they had some good stuff going.
I was perfectly fine with it.
Well, obviously.
So, obviously the luck thing has had an effect.
Well, if you think about it, it's basically put them back, like, their entire off-season they've obviously been preparing for...
Yeah.
Unless they knew, and they just basically were working around it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine to spend the entire off-season knowing that you're going to retire, or thinking about that you're going to retire, and the team not know that.
You don't.
It came as a surprise to us. It won't. It's their job to know what's going on with their players.
You'd hope so.
But something that, because I was like with the other league and this league and stuff, I was like, I'm going real tactical this year. I've got some real players in my head that'll be surprising when I pick them up, but they were players that played really well last season. And the only name that kept coming up was I was going to draft Luck as my quarterback. Because after last season, he had a storming season. And what annoys me is they keep showing that video of what a stand-up guy he was. When he was getting sacked, he would congratulate the guy who sacked him.
I've seen that a lot. Great hit, man, and stuff like that.
This is like, and they're like, he's an absolute gent.
It was always weird as well because it was like there was certain like defensive linemen who were like saying stuff like, yeah, he did it, and it just used to piss me off because it was like, I've just absolutely nailed you with like the best shot I've got. And he's not like just going, oh. He just gets up and just goes, yeah, good hit, man. Yeah. It's like, you should be doing that. You should be fucking pissed off that I just nailed you.
Surely that's like a psychology element for
Yeah, probably.
I think that's quite.
Plus, I think at the end of the day,
that's quite funny.
At the end of the day as well, it'll mainly be because at the end of the, I keep saying that. I think I've said the end of the day in about 4 times in the space of about 13 seconds there.
And just added to it by commenting on that as well.
Yeah, exactly. He's a football fan, so he probably wants to see,
somebody
good defensive line play,
yeah,
and stuff like that. And he knows that if it's a good hit, he's like, yeah, that's good football, well played.
I would suggest that anybody on the planet would not want a £200 plus guy. If a guy like that hit me and knocked me to the floor, I don't think "well done, mate" would be the first 3 words out of my mouth.
Well, you thought not, but
the last one might be mate, but the first 2 wouldn't be.
Anybody who got a pick? Stu's already got. I could just ask Stu for all of his picks for all of the games because you've already done yours.
Yeah,
Who have you gone for?
After the performance that they had at the weekend and combined with the Andrew Luck thing that we've talked about, I've picked the Titans.
It's a smart pick.
Is it at Tennessee?
Yes.
Yeah, stick me down for the Titans.
I think it's a Titans across the board on that one. I'm also going Cowboys Redskins, the game.
Cowboys, no question. Skins looked all right in the first half against Philly, but then they tired and Eagles came through and stuff like that. But
Another team.
Cowboys,
That's just
Dak
been left.
looked good.
Yeah, he did, to be fair.
So,
but then again, he was chasing a contract, wasn't he? So, Stu?
I have also gone for the Cowboys.
No arguments here. Chiefs, Raiders. Everybody for the Chiefs by any chance?
Yes, please.
Oh?
I am picking the Chiefs, but I think it'll be closer than a lot of people think.
I agree with that. Always off that thing of trying to work out whether I'm writing chief or chef. Bears versus the Broncos.
Bears, Broncos, was that?
Yeah.
Bears, Broncos.
In Denver?
It is.
Denver, Colorado.
Mile High, which fucks up loads of teams.
There's two good defences going up against each other. Offense. Both are on one.
Somebody needs to get
Bears. See what happens with the Bears. I think they might just shade it just on the fact they've got a slightly better defence.
Stu.
Also Bears.
I'll also go for the Bears.
Goes against that tiny part of me that will always be a diehard Broncos fan, but I'm also going Bears.
The Bears. The Bears.
The Bears.
The Bears.
Saints versus Rams. One thing that I did want to bring up in the review of week 1, something that I saw in the Rams game that I saw at the back end of last season, and it's like, man, they really need to have sorted that out. Goff will throw the throw no matter what. He threw far too many. Oh, I've been told to throw this ball there. There is a player from the opposite team there. I'm still throwing the ball. He's throwing too many of those.
It could just be that he's just not seen the play development or breakdown or something like that.
There was one when they showed the replay and they were like, there is absolutely no excuse for throwing that ball. He could have done anything with it. He could have thrown it out of bounds. He could have done anything. That player was in the way. He literally threw it to his hands. And it's that he's been told to throw the ball that way. The other thing they then went on to show was how many other players were wide open. He's not reading the plays. He's just going, I'm throwing the ball there. But he's got players over the other side wide open. So, Saints, Rams.
It's another game I don't like.
I really don't like
but
it.
If it was
for the opposite reasons, surely.
As in it's like two really tough teams to call. If it was in the Dome, like the playoff game was, can you imagine the level of abuse that the Rams would be getting every time they have an offensive pass interference call go their way, or a defensive pass interference call go their way, and stuff like that. But as it's in LA, obviously that won't be a factor. Stick me down for the Saints. You've got a little sneaky feeling for the Saints.
Don't need to ask.
Although it's Breeze, not in a dome.
Even though
He doesn't do well
the guy sat here in the Saints jersey, I have actually opted for the Rams.
Really?
Like I say there, Drew Brees outside isn't a great sight. He's used to playing in a dome, so that could go against him.
But he does have to play half of his games outside.
Well, not necessarily.
Well, as you're saying though, this was another one of them games that I actually remember from last season where we just watched it and it was just incredible. So both teams are probably fairly even. So.
Well, they played each other twice last season, didn't they?
It was the one later on in the season where it was
the playoffs.
That
scoring
game
game ever or something.
Because obviously that was a ref decision that made that game, and it was a bad decision.
It wasn't them two teams playing, but it just reminds me of that. You said the one that was really high scoring. There was the Rams Chiefs game that was earlier in the season. Was it 51-49 in the end or something? There was 100 points in the entire game. What the fuck?
highest scoring game in NFL history.
What the fuck? Like both teams' defense ended up like minus 19 or something in fantasy. It was
wheeling
ridiculous.
canister after canister of oxygen. I've also gone with the Saints. I think what I saw at the weekend was concerning. They're still harping on about this Todd Gurley injury, this mythical Todd Gurley injury. He's still in. They are the first group to jump on this person's playing terribly. It's like, have you got some evidence to support that? Or they're still injured. They're out there on the field. Shall we let's just see. What happened to CJ Anderson?
He's gone to... I've got him in the league as well.
Eagles
I did have. I think I might have dropped him.
versus the Falcons. While he's looking that up, Stu, do you want to give me a pick?
I'm back in my Titans team, my fantasy Titans team. I'll go with the Eagles.
Eagles.
Birds against birds.
You got a video like that? Wee.
Oh!
Two girls, one.
Outstanding.
2 girls, 1
accusation.
clop.
Have you got a pick for me on this one, Mr. Williams?
I'll go for the eagle type bird on this one. Falcons looked bad.
I mean,
Sunday.
they just cannot get off the ground, can they?
Ironically enough, you could almost say laid an egg.
I've also gone with the Eagles for this one.
C.J. Anderson is currently suiting up in Detroit. He's absolutely the backup.
I picked mine, isn't it? And the last game I've got on my list is the Browns versus the Jets. Darnold looked better.
Yeah, but...
Well,
When I say better, I mean, he didn't look great.
This is the battle of the Around the NFL podcast, because one of the guys who presents is a Browns fan and one of the other guys who presents is a Jets fan. So they've been mentioning it like as a big thing. I think this was the game that was maybe week 2 or week 3 last season, and it was in the same slot, and it was the first time the Browns had won in 30 games, because obviously they'd gone 1-15 the season before, and then they'd gone the entire season without winning. And then this is the one where they finally got their win.
Yep.
And I think this might have even been the game where Tyrod Taylor went down injured and Baker Mayfield came in and helped them get the win. Mm-hmm. And everyone was like, Baker Mayfield, he's the real deal.
He's the real deal.
I will pick the Cleveland Browns to snap out of their funk and pick up a thoroughly deserved W.
I'm not jumping on the hype bandwagon.
The Baker bandwagon.
That has been. And I'm going with the home team of the Jets.
It's one of those situations that either answer's the right answer in this game. I am going with the Browns.
God, Andrew, copy me.
I know, copy me, mate.
God.
So, looking at that, there's a little bit of diversity there. There's a little bit of samey. I was going to do a thing where I was going to say if you could only watch one game this weekend, which would it be?
Saints Rams.
Agreed.
But we'd already covered it, so I was like, probably doesn't need to ask that question. Yeah, I mean that is the game of the weekend.
There was obviously times during last season where we were discussing the snooze fest games, and then it was the absolutely must watch games and stuff like that.
Yeah, and off the back of that, I was like, well, it was kind of like I honestly think that there are games that you could happily not have, and I honestly think there are games that are like, I am not missing that game. The red zone helps massive. I mean, last season I got more into red zone. The season before, I would pick a game. I'd pick a 6 o'clock game. I'd pick a 9 o'clock game. I'd pick obviously as you get later in the day, by the Tuesday or whatever, you've got one game to watch. So watching those games. And with having Game Pass, you can go back and watch.
Yeah.
Like, I actually want
You've
to
got the condensed highlights as well.
The game in 40 is great because you can get rid of all of the breaks, all of the adverts, and you just see more of the
snaps.
The meat. Yeah. So that's always good. So yeah, week 1 review, week 2 preview. Anybody got any other business?
The only thing I can think of to do would be, obviously we probably should have done this as a preview podcast type thing, but because we didn't get around to it, season 1 picks. Probably should have picked like who we think will win the Super Bowl.
Oh, I wonder.
And stuff like that. Oh dear. Obviously, the more the season develops, obviously it'll be easier to pick this. But obviously, we'll get each guest's pick.
So
for the whole shebang.
Yeah. So it's who you think will eventually lift the Lombardi at the end of the season.
Super Bowl. Paul Williams.
So
Stu and myself.
I personally think that the Saints will win it all, but the Super Bowl will be between the Saints and... Come back to me on that one.
Stu.
Maybe...
Who's lifting the Lombardi?
It's maybe more of a heart over head thing, but mainly because I don't want the Patriots to win. But I'm gonna have a stab at the Chiefs, I think, this year.
That was who I was thinking. Stick with the Chiefs in the Super Bowl against the Saints.
We're in a difficult position here, boys. Who do you think the Super Bowl game is going to be?
So you have to pick an NFC team.
No idea.
So last season it was the Rams, was the NFC representative. So that gives you so just going from last season's playoff teams, your 6 from the NFC was the Rams, the Saints, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the
just to
Bears.
To keep in par with, you don't have to tell me anymore, because just to keep in par with the beginning and now the end. If you pick the Saints to win, I'll say they'll lose in the final.
So we've both gone for the exact same Super Bowl, just the wrong way. Or the opposite way.
Or the right way.
Or the right way, whichever way you look at it. I mean, we're both wrong anyway, because obviously the Patriots will get...
Well, I was just about to say...
By hook or by crook.
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go that the Patriots will win the Super Bowl.
But he's run out of fingers for the glove. So he doesn't need any more.
He's only got 6.
No, that's what I mean. He doesn't need any more. He's got a gauntlet.
But I do think it will be them going up against the Saints.
Interesting. So we've all picked the Saints to get to the Super Bowl.
I think after last season, I think at the back end of last season, when the Saints went out, it was I'd be interested to see what happens next season, because I think they're going to have a bit of something to prove. And they always seem to have something to prove. There's always something on the cards where they're like, we need to prove this, we need to get here, we need to do this. So I think that's the way it's going to go.
I know teams have got to the Super Bowl in multiple seasons, as in, obviously, the Patriots have been there for the last 3. But has there ever been a repeat Super Bowl? I don't think there has. I don't think it's ever been the same game in back-to-back years.
In 99 goes before. That's quite impressive if that's not.
Yeah, there's even though it's the 100th season, there's only been 53 Super Bowls.
Right, yeah, of course. Well, yeah.
But unless there was maybe 2 back-to-back where it was the Bills versus the Cowboys, but I can't remember for definite whether that was the case. But it'd be interesting to see.
I would say a quick Google, but I think it's a little bit more.
It'd be interesting to see if it was basically the Patriots versus the Rams again, and if the Rams shit the bed as badly as they did again last season. I will have a quick look. You two just discuss.
I was quite put out by that whole situation because I honestly believed that if the Saints had gone through, that Super Bowl would have been a whole other ball game, for want of a better way of putting it. Do you want to predict anything else for this season?
We could pick an MVP candidate, stuff like that, maybe.
Brady.
I suppose on the back of my prediction, I'd have to go with Mahomes then.
I've already picked Mahomes to get it again.
MVP, Paul, Stu, me. Actually, weren't me there. Everybody going Mahomes apart from me. And I am going for a one Mr. Drew.
So, in 1994 and then in 1993 and then in 1994, the Super Bowl was the Buffalo Bills versus the Dallas Cowboys, and they even say this is the only time that the same two teams have met in consecutive Super Bowls.
There you go.
So,
answers your question.
So it has happened before.
Anything left?
I believe that is that.
Well, gentlemen.
Can you believe it's almost been a full year? Absolutely.
It's
not
great.
been a full year.
It's absolutely fantastic to be back.
It is.
It's great doing the podcast again. It's great watching the games again.
It is.
It's so good. It'll be nice when it's a little cooler so I can start the jersey rotation for the season.
I might even have a little trip to that shop in York and see what I can pick up.
So big shout out to Chris and the Expressions crew, Expressions Clothing in York. If you need a jersey, or a football, or a helmet, or a Super Bowl ring, or anything that might take your NFL fancy, pop in, tell him we sent you. He'll love it. Or not care, one or the other. So yeah.
And on that note,
thank you, Stu, for coming.
Thanks for
I
coming.
know how much it means to me that you made the journey.
you love that road, don't you?
I'm going to bring it up on the wrestling podcast. That's why I'm not saying anything about it. Thank you to Mr. Williams, my glamorous co-host. Thank you to the Stats Mistress, who could not be here due to other commitments. But that is, ladies and gentlemen,
a wrap.
Season 2, Episode 1 of Laces Out. Thank you, bye.
Bye.
Au revoir.
So there you go. What do you think to that? The Laces Out podcast. What do you think of the name? You guys can come up with a better one, let us know, and we'll certainly consider it. YouTube watchers, make sure you're YouTube subscribers, like, share, comment, all the good stuff. Click for notifications. Everybody jump over to thecookiecast.com. Check us out over there. Check us on our social media feeds. Check our email ability and then send us an email. Tell us how you're getting on in your fantasy league and what you think to the start of the season. So there, another one done. A new podcast, a new week, a new NFL season. Until next week, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye.